My beloved friends, I want to speak today about something so simple, so humble, and yet so holy: salt. Yes, salt. That little grain we sprinkle on our food, that white crystal hidden in the earth, that ancient mineral older than the mountains themselves. Salt, the preserver, the purifier, the healer. Salt, the silent witness to every meal, every tear, every offering lifted up to heaven. You see, there are some things that seem ordinary to the unseeing eye, but to the awakened spirit, oh, they are sacred. Salt has been used in covenant since the beginning of time. It was the symbol of loyalty between friends, the sign of divine promise between God and man. When you shared salt with someone, it meant your bond could not be broken. And I tell you this, when you place salt in the right place, with the right intention, you are inviting purity, prosperity, and protection into your home. Salt, such a simple word, such a tiny thing, yet within it lives a universe of meaning. When I speak of salt, I am not merely speaking of that which seasons our soup or flavors our bread. I am speaking of that which preserves the spirit, that which keeps the soul from spoiling in a world so quick to decay. Salt is one of the oldest companions of humanity. Before man knew gold, before woman adorned herself with jewels, they both knew salt. It was there on their tongues, in their sweat, and in their tears. It is the taste of life itself, the first and last flavor we ever know. There is something sacred about salt. The Bible calls it the salt of the earth. And that is not a casual title. It means that salt represents endurance, faith, and truth. It does not boast. It does not shimmer like silver or dazzle like diamonds. Salt is humble, quiet, consistent. And yet without it, life is tasteless. Salt teaches us something profound about holiness, that what is pure and unassuming often carries the most power. In every culture, from the farthest mountains of Tibet to the warm shores of Africa, salt has been a symbol of purity and protection. People have placed it at their doorsteps to keep away evil. They have poured it into the earth to bless the ground before planting their crops. They have mixed it with water to cleanse their hands before prayer. Why? Because they understood, maybe not with science but with spirit, that salt draws out the impure. It absorbs what does not belong and leaves behind only what is true. When I speak of salt as sacred, I speak of energy. Salt holds memory. It remembers the ocean it came from, the sunlight that kissed it dry, the ancient earth that birthed it. It remembers creation itself. So when you bring salt into your home, you are not just bringing a mineral, you are welcoming a piece of eternity. You are inviting a messenger of God's natural order. In this noisy modern world, we have forgotten the language of simple things. We reach for crystals, for oils, for charms, but we overlook what our ancestors knew all along, that the divine hides in the ordinary. A grain of salt, when blessed, carries the same vibration as a prayer, whispered in faith. When you place salt with intention, you are saying to the universe, "Here I make a boundary between darkness and light. Here I claim purity, peace, and protection." Salt does not fight evil with noise or anger. It works silently. It sits still and does its work, much like faith itself. It absorbs the heaviness, the envy, the sorrow that floats unseen in our spaces. You cannot see what it is doing, but after a while you feel it. The room feels lighter. The air feels softer. Your mind becomes calmer. That is the mystery of salt. It purifies without proclamation. Do not think that salt's power is superstition. It is spiritual science. Everything in creation vibrates with energy. Some energies nourish us, others drain us. Salt, by its very nature, balances vibration. It restores harmony to what has been disturbed. When you touch salt with reverence, you are holding a mirror to your own soul, reminding it to stay clean, grounded, and strong against corruption. Salt does not tolerate deceit. It spoils no food, and it saves what can be saved. Likewise, when you bring salt into your spiritual life, it asks you to be honest. It demands that you release the toxins of resentment, bitterness, and fear. Because salt cannot dwell in a heart full of poison. You see, purity attracts purity, and salt recognizes its own kind. I remember my grandmother, God rest her soul, used to say, "Child, when you are lost, go to the kitchen and touch the salt jar. Ask God to cleanse your spirit." I did not understand then, but I do now. That jar of salt sat like a quiet guardian in her home. Every argument, every worry, every ache seemed to fade in that kitchen, for it was filled with peace. That was no coincidence. That was wisdom. That was a covenant between her spirit and the earth. Salt connects heaven and home. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. When you scatter it at your doorstep, you are drawing a line that says, "Only light may cross this threshold." When you place it in your kitchen, you are saying, "This is where love becomes nourishment." When you keep it by your altar or your prayer space, you are saying, "Here only truth and blessing may dwell." Salt purifies your house, yes, but it also purifies your heart. It reminds you to stay clean inside, to guard your spirit against bitterness. It whispers to you, "Do not lose your flavor." For what did the good book say? If the salt loses its savor, how shall it be salted? To lose your flavor is to lose your identity, your essence, your strength. Salt reminds you to remain true to who you are, steadfast, faithful, and full of purpose. My dear friends, the sacredness of salt lies not in its chemical structure, but in its symbolic power. It represents what we are called to be, the preservers of goodness, the keepers of peace, the purifiers of the world's chaos. Salt tells us that even a small thing can carry a mighty purpose, that holiness is not about grandeur but about integrity. So when you hold salt in your hands, remember this: you are holding a lesson in humility and power. You are holding a piece of the divine order that keeps this world in balance. Place it where your spirit leads you. Bless it with gratitude. Let it stand as a quiet sentinel in your home, a reminder that purity is protection and protection is prosperity. For where salt is honored, light abides. Where salt is respected, peace dwells. And where salt is placed with faith, abundance flows. So, my beloved, do not take that handful of salt lightly. It is sacred. It is ancient. It is alive with God's whisper. And when you bless it, when you let it bless you, you are not just seasoning your home, you are sanctifying your life. Every home has a soul. You may not see it with your eyes, but you can feel it with your heart. It hums softly beneath the floorboards, dances in the sunlight that slips through your curtains, and lingers in the laughter that fills your kitchen. It is the breath of all who dwell within, the prayers whispered, the tears shed, the meals shared, the love exchanged. Yes, my dear, your house is alive, and within that life beats a sacred rhythm, a place of divine balance, the very heart of your home. When I speak of placing salt in a sacred place, I am not merely giving you a ritual. I am asking you to awaken to the truth that your home is holy ground. Every brick, every wall, every room has memory. The air remembers your joy and your pain. The corners hold your silence, your secrets, your sighs. And somewhere in all that space there is one point, one blessed point, where heaven leans in just a little closer. That is the sacred place. It might not be grand. It might not be beautiful in the way the world defines beauty. It may be an old wooden table, scarred by years of family dinners. It may be a simple doorway that has seen children run through it and loved ones leave through it. It may be a quiet corner where you've knelt in prayer when the world felt too heavy. That place, my friend, is where energy flows strongest. That is where spirit breathes. You see, God does not dwell only in temples or cathedrals. God visits every home where peace is invited, where gratitude is spoken, where kindness is practiced. When you light a candle in your kitchen, when you offer food with love, when you sit quietly and give thanks, you are turning your home into a sanctuary. You are saying to the universe, "Here I make space for the sacred to dwell." Now you might ask, Dr. Maya, how will I know where that sacred place is? Oh, my dear, your spirit already knows. You find it not by searching with your eyes, but by listening with your soul. Walk through your home slowly with reverence. Feel the air. Where does it feel calmest? Where do you feel most peaceful? That is your sacred place. It is not chosen by design, it is revealed by energy. Once you have found it, treat it as you would treat your heart. Keep it clean. Keep it bright. Speak blessings into it. Play music that makes your spirit rise. Burn incense or light a candle there. Let laughter live near it, because that place is a portal between the seen and the unseen. It is where the invisible hand of God rests gently on your life. Now when you place your salt there, understand what you are truly doing. You are not just setting down a mineral. You are placing an offering. You are saying, may this home be preserved. May this house be pure. May abundance flow in and never run dry. That act becomes a prayer, a covenant between you and the divine order of creation. Salt, when placed in that sacred spot, becomes a guardian. It holds back heaviness. It absorbs what is not meant for you. It listens to the energy of your home and brings balance where there is unrest. And just as the heart pumps blood through the body, that sacred spot pumps spiritual harmony through every room. Every corner begins to breathe easier. Every wall hums with quiet light. When a home's sacred space is honored, prosperity follows naturally. Because energy, my dear, must flow freely. When your sacred space is blocked by clutter, chaos, or neglect, the flow of blessing slows. But when it is open, clean, and consecrated, prosperity rushes through like a river set free. There is wisdom in the way old folk used to live. My grandmother used to sweep her floor every night before bed, not just for cleanliness but for peace. She said, "Child, I sweep away what the day tried to leave behind." She'd then sprinkle a pinch of salt near the kitchen window and whisper, "Lord, bless this home." That was her sacred space, small, simple, but mighty. And her house, though modest, was rich with laughter, full of love, never empty of what we needed. You see, it is not about the grandeur of your home, but the grandeur of your heart. You can live in a palace and still feel poor in spirit. You can live in a one-room house and still feel like royalty if peace and gratitude dwell there. The sacred place transforms whatever it touches. And here is something else. When you bless your home's sacred space, you are also blessing yourself, for your house is a reflection of your inner world. If your home is chaotic, so is your spirit. If your home is peaceful, so is your heart. When you take the time to find that sacred place, to clean it, to honor it, you are in truth cleansing your soul. Do not be surprised when, after placing your salt, things begin to shift. The air feels lighter. The heaviness begins to lift. People who come to visit may even say, "There's something so calm about your house." That, my friend, is not coincidence. That is the presence of peace. And let me tell you, money follows peace. Wealth is drawn to order. Abundance is attracted to gratitude. The sacred space in your home becomes a magnet for every good thing you've been praying for. It is the spiritual heartbeat of your prosperity. When you honor it, you are opening the gates for blessings to flow in. Not just material blessings, but emotional, mental, and spiritual ones too. So walk into your home today with new eyes. See it not as walls and windows, but as a living, breathing temple of your life. Speak to it kindly. Thank it for sheltering you, and when you find that sacred place, honor it with salt, the symbol of preservation, purity, and power. For that corner, that doorway, that small, humble spot, it is not just a space, it is a sanctuary. It is the meeting point between your faith and your fortune, your prayer and your provision. It is the whispering altar where heaven listens. And when you place your salt there, with love, with belief, with gratitude, know that you have just told the universe, "I am ready for the flow of abundance, I am ready for peace, I am ready for prosperity to live here." Wealth, my dear, does not begin in the bank account. It begins in the mind. It begins in the soft, unseen corners of your spirit where belief is born and faith takes root. Before you can ever hold abundance in your hands, you must first learn to hold it in your heart. You must know, truly know, that you are worthy of it. Because a person who walks in doubt cannot hold blessings long, they slip through the fingers like water. But a person whose spirit is clean, whose faith is firm, and whose heart is full of gratitude becomes a magnet for divine provision. The world will tell you that money is made by work alone. It will tell you that prosperity belongs only to those who hustle, who compete, who climb. But I have lived long enough to know that the richest people are not always the ones with the biggest houses or the grandest cars. The richest people are those whose spirits are uncluttered, people who have peace within their hearts, clarity in their minds, and gratitude in their souls. For true wealth begins with purity. When I say purity, I do not mean perfection. I mean the ability to clear your heart of resentment, jealousy, and fear, the very things that clog the flow of blessings. You cannot invite abundance into a home where bitterness sleeps. You cannot expect increase when your heart is burdened by envy or worry. God does not pour clean water into a dirty vessel, my friend. He waits for you to cleanse it. He waits for you to release what poisons your peace. That is why I say prosperity begins not in your pocket, but in your spirit. A poor spirit will waste every opportunity. A bitter heart will block every blessing. But a clear, grateful soul, oh, that soul will attract wealth in every form. When you are pure in your intentions, the universe recognizes your vibration and aligns itself to bring you increase. You see, abundance has a language. It speaks in harmony, in gratitude, in faith. And when your inner world speaks that language, prosperity listens. It hears you. It comes to you. It finds a way to rest in your life. But if your spirit is noisy with complaint and fear, abundance cannot stay. It knocks, but it does not enter. So, my dear, before you ask for money, ask for peace. Before you pray for increase, pray for cleansing. Ask God to sweep your mind clean like a new morning. Ask Him to wash away every thought of lack, every whisper that says you are not enough. Because as long as you see yourself as small, you will draw small things. But when you see yourself as divine, as worthy of good things, worthy of joy, worthy of overflow, you begin to open the door to limitless blessings. I have met people who had very little yet lived as if they owned the world. They walked with grace, they spoke with light, and their homes, though simple, were filled with laughter and warmth. That is what prosperity looks like. It is not always measured in numbers. It is measured in peace. It is measured in how deeply you rest at night and how fully you smile in the morning. And I have met others who had every luxury this world could offer but no joy. Their hearts were restless, their minds clouded with fear of losing what they had. They had wealth, yes, but not prosperity. For prosperity is not just about having things, it is about having the freedom to live without fear. It is about knowing that your supply does not come from man but from God. It is about trusting that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. When you begin to cleanse your mind of doubt and your home of heaviness, you create space for miracles to move. You create a vibration that calls abundance by name. That is why in the speech I said salt purifies not only the home but the spirit, because the atmosphere around you reflects the atmosphere within you. If you carry peace in your soul, your environment will respond in kind. And when peace reigns in your home, prosperity feels welcome to stay. Money is energy. It flows where it is respected, where it is appreciated, where it is used with purpose. But it runs from greed, from fear, from confusion. A purified heart does not chase money. It attracts it. It sees money not as an idol but as a servant, a tool for good, a way to express gratitude to God. So begin the work of inner cleansing. Forgive those who wronged you. Release the grudges that keep your spirit heavy. Speak life over your own name. Bless your hands and the work they do. Say aloud, I am open to divine abundance. I am ready to receive the good that is meant for me. Speak it until your spirit believes it, for the universe responds to the frequency of faith, not the language of fear. Do not let poverty take root in your thoughts. You may not have much today, but that is not the measure of your destiny. Remember that the richest soil begins as dust. Remember that every mighty river began as a small spring. Your blessings are already moving toward you. You simply must make room for them by cleansing your mind and lifting your spirit. When you rise in the morning, before you touch your phone or worry about the day, whisper a prayer of gratitude. Say, "Thank you, Lord, for the air I breathe, for the roof above me, for the food before me." Gratitude purifies the soul faster than anything else. It wipes the dust from your spiritual eyes so you can see how truly blessed you already are. And once you recognize your blessings, more will come. The law of divine abundance is simple. What you focus on expands. If you focus on lack, you will see more of it. If you focus on gratitude, it will multiply before your eyes. The clean mind is like clear glass. Light passes through it freely. But a cluttered mind is like stained glass. It blocks what tries to enter. Purify your thinking and you will see the difference in your life. Prosperity begins with alignment, with thought, with word, with spirit. It is the peace that prepares the way for provision. It is the faith that opens the door before the blessing knocks. When you cleanse your spirit and renew your mind, you do not have to chase abundance. It finds you. So take the time to sit in stillness. Reflect, release, restore. Place your salt where peace lives in your home, and let that act remind you to keep your inner house clean. For when your mind is purified and your spirit is calm, every good thing, money, love, opportunity, joy, will find its way to your door. That is how prosperity truly begins, not with struggle, not with fear, but with the quiet, confident knowing that you are already enough, already worthy, already blessed. And once your soul understands that truth, wealth will follow like a shadow following light. Faith, my dear, is the bridge between the invisible and the seen. It is the sacred thread that ties your hopes to heaven's promises. And when you understand this, you begin to see that it is not the salt that carries the power. It is your faith that awakens the power within the salt. God, in His infinite wisdom, hides His miracles in the simplest things, so that only those with eyes of belief may find them. The proud may overlook them, the skeptic may mock them, but the faithful, they see the holy in the humble, the extraordinary in the everyday. A grain of salt, small and silent, can become a vessel of divine intention when touched by faith. It can purify a home not because of its chemistry, but because of the energy that belief breathes into it. When you take that salt in your hands and whisper your prayer, you are not commanding magic, you are activating trust. You are saying, "Lord, I believe that you move through all things. I believe that you use even this simple salt to bless me." That is faith in action. That is where the miracle begins. Faith does not need evidence. It does not need applause. It needs only willingness. It is the soft yes you whisper when everything else says no. It is the courage to believe before you see, to thank God before the blessing arrives. Salt, when placed with faith, becomes a testimony, a reminder that the smallest act done with a believing heart can move mountains unseen. You see, faith is a mighty force disguised in gentleness. It does not shout, it does not demand. It simply knows. It knows that even when the storm howls, the sun still shines above the clouds. It knows that the seed buried in darkness is already on its way to bloom. Faith does not need to see the road ahead. It walks, trusting that each step will find ground beneath it. In this world, we are trained to believe only in what we can measure, touch, and explain. But the soul knows a different kind of truth. The soul knows that miracles are woven into the ordinary. The soul knows that a candle lit with intention carries more light than a chandelier lit without prayer. The soul knows that a pinch of salt placed with gratitude can shift the very atmosphere of a home. Do not underestimate the power of your faith. When you bless your salt, you are not changing the salt. You are changing yourself. You are lifting your vibration, opening your heart, aligning your energy with divine order. And once you shift inwardly, the outer world cannot help but respond. Prosperity begins to flow, peace begins to settle, opportunities begin to appear, not because of the salt itself, but because your faith has unlocked the gates. Faith, my dear, is God's favorite language. It tells Him, "I trust you," and in response, heaven moves. It rearranges circumstances, it stirs hearts, it opens paths you didn't even know existed. That is why the scripture says, faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. If something so small as a mustard seed can do that, imagine what your living, breathing, unwavering faith can do when you pour it into your prayers, your actions, your home. Salt becomes sacred to that same principle. It becomes a symbol, a focus for your belief. It is a reminder that God's power does not depend on grandeur. He can use the wind or the whisper, the temple or the table, the mighty or the meek. Faith makes the common divine. Faith transforms what is ordinary into a tool of the extraordinary. I have seen people pray over a cup of water and heal their despair. I have seen a mother hold a child's worn-out shoe and ask God to make a way, and somehow a job offer came that same week. I have seen an elder place a handful of salt by her window and say, Lord, let no evil cross this line, and peace ruled her home for years. The object was never the power, the belief was. And that, my friend, is the heart of this truth. Your faith gives form to your fortune. Your faith shapes the unseen and turns it into reality. When you place that salt, believe it is already working. When you speak your prayer, believe heaven already heard. Faith does not wait for proof. It becomes the proof. Now, faith must not be passive. It is not a waiting game. Faith requires partnership. When you place that salt, you must also align your actions with your belief. You must speak kindly, think abundantly, give generously, and live in gratitude. For faith without alignment is like a song unsung. You cannot ask God for abundance while speaking words of lack. You cannot pray for peace while holding bitterness in your heart. Faith demands harmony between your mouth and your spirit, between your thoughts and your deeds. When faith flows through you fully, it cleanses more than your home. It renews your entire being. You begin to walk lighter, speak with assurance, love without fear. You begin to expect goodness instead of waiting for disaster. That shift, that deep and sacred confidence, draws prosperity like a magnet, because the universe responds to certainty, not hesitation. There will always be those who scoff, who say, "What can salt do?" But let them doubt. Their disbelief will not disturb your blessing, because you know that faith is not about logic, it is about connection. It is about standing so firmly in trust that even the impossible must bow. And when you live that way, when you treat even the simplest ritual as holy, you invite the miraculous into your everyday life. I remember once asking my grandmother how she could keep smiling when things were hard. She looked at me, eyes soft with wisdom, and said, "Child, I don't see with these eyes, I see with the eyes of faith." And that, my dear, is what we must all learn to do. To see our blessings before they bloom, to thank God while the seed is still in the soil, to know deep in our bones that the salt we place is already working because our faith has already spoken the word. So when you lift that salt and find your sacred place, do not doubt, do not question, simply believe. Let your heart say, "This act is enough, this faith is enough, I am enough," and then stand still and watch the quiet miracle unfold. For faith is the spark that ignites heaven's fire. Faith is the invisible hand that opens doors no man can shut. Faith takes a grain of salt and makes it a symbol of divine abundance. And when you walk in faith, pure, patient, powerful, you will find that God has already placed everything you need right in your hands. There is a rhythm to the universe, a melody that hums quietly beneath all things. It is the song of blessing, the music of harmony, and it plays most clearly in a home that has been blessed. When you bless your home, when you set your intention for peace and abundance, you are not simply decorating your space. You are declaring to the heavens that this place, this humble dwelling, belongs to light. You are saying, "Here God is welcome. Here love is the law. Here prosperity may rest." When you take the time to bless your home, you are not performing superstition. You are engaging in sacred cooperation with the divine. You are aligning your physical environment with spiritual truth. For as within, so without, the state of your home reflects the state of your spirit. And when your home carries the vibration of peace, prosperity cannot help but be drawn to it. I have learned that a home, much like a person, holds memories. The walls remember laughter. The floors remember footsteps. Even the air holds echoes of words once spoken. If those memories are heavy, filled with anger, grief, or fear, they begin to linger, creating a kind of fog that blocks blessings from entering freely. But when you cleanse and bless your home, when you fill it with prayer, gratitude, and intention, that fog begins to lift. The air clears. The atmosphere brightens. Energy flows again, and with it flows abundance. When you place salt in your home with a heart full of faith, you are performing a simple but profound act of restoration. Salt absorbs what should not stay. It pulls the spiritual toxins from the air, resentment, jealousy, doubt, and it replaces them with clarity. The blessing you speak over your home then takes root. It begins to grow silently like a seed hidden beneath the soil. And just as plants stretch toward the sun, so too will prosperity stretch toward a home that is bathed in blessing. Blessing your home is not only about inviting God in, it is about making sure He feels comfortable staying. That means cultivating peace in every corner. It means turning off the noise of complaint and tuning in to the melody of gratitude. It means treating your house not as a shelter of walls, but as a living temple of your spirit. When you sweep your floors, do it as though you are sweeping away worry. When you open your windows, do it as though you are welcoming grace. When you cook, stir love into your meals. Every act, no matter how small, becomes an offering when done with awareness. Abundance dwells where gratitude lives. And gratitude is not something you feel once in a while. It is a way of breathing. Every breath says thank you. Every sunrise says I am blessed. When you live like that, your home begins to shimmer with unseen light. People will walk in and say, I don't know what it is about this place, but it feels peaceful. That peace is your wealth. That warmth is your prosperity. And soon enough, it will manifest in tangible ways, through opportunities, through favor, through open doors that no one can close. Now I must tell you this truth. Prosperity avoids confusion. Abundance is like a gentle dove. It lands where there is calm. If your home is filled with shouting, with worry, with chaos, that dove will fly away. But when your home hums with harmony, when your speech is seasoned with kindness, when laughter echoes more than complaint, that dove will stay. It will nest, it will multiply. Blessing your home also blesses those who enter it. When someone steps into a space where faith resides, they are lifted even if they do not know why. They may come weary and leave restored. That, my dear, is the power of sacred atmosphere. When you fill your space with prayer, you create an invisible hospitality. You prepare a table not just for guests, but for blessings themselves. And remember, abundance is not greedy. It does not come to hoard, it comes to share. When you bless your home, you are also blessing your neighbors, your friends, your family. For light cannot help but spill over. The peace you cultivate becomes contagious. It ripples outward, touching everything around you. I recall the home of my grandmother, a small wooden house that smelled of cornbread and jasmine tea. There was no gold, no luxury, but there was laughter, faith, and warmth that could mend the hardest heart. That home, though humble, was blessed. Money found its way there, yes, but so did love, healing, and miracles. It was not because of the structure, it was because of the spirit within. You see, blessing your home is not a one-time act. It is a daily conversation with the divine. Every time you light a candle, you are saying, Lord, illuminate this house. Every time you pray, you are saying, keep this home safe. Every time you give thanks for your meal, you are saying, multiply this goodness. And the universe, hearing that language of faith, responds with generosity. So when you place salt in your sacred space, let it be more than ritual, let it be relationship. Speak to your home as you would to a beloved friend. Say, you have sheltered me, you have held my joy and my tears. May peace reign in you always. Whisper blessings into your walls. Clap your hands in praise. Let the sound of gratitude ring louder than any echo of sorrow. And when abundance begins to flow, as it surely will, do not forget to keep blessing. Do not forget to keep purifying, for prosperity is not a destination. It is a rhythm. It must be maintained by harmony. Keep your home aligned with peace, and it will continue to be a magnet for miracles. There will be days when trouble tries to knock at your door. There will be moments when the winds of worry blow. But if your home has been blessed, if your foundation is prayer, then even the storm must bow. Your roof may shake, but your spirit will not fall. Because a blessed home is not just protected, it is fortified by faith. And one day, when you sit quietly in your sacred space and feel that stillness, that unexplainable calm, you will know that the salt you placed, the prayers you spoke, the gratitude you practiced, all of it worked. Your home will hum with holiness. Your life will overflow with good things. So bless your home, beloved. Bless it again and again. Bless it with faith, with laughter, with love. Bless every doorway and every dream. For where blessings dwell, abundance lingers. And when peace fills your home, heaven itself takes residence.